This is me following what everyone else was doing around me, hooked on cheap dopamine and instant gratification. This is me now, being super boring, repeating the same things every day. I never thought that being boring would make me happier, healthier, and richer. This video is going to show you how being boring will get you ahead of 99% of people. Let me share a little story with you. So back when I was working a corporate office job, I was pretty darn depressed at the time. I didn't really know where I was going with my life, and instead of putting in the work to change my situation, I decided to go to good old YouTube for motivation. I came across a David Goggins video and went down the rabbit hole of self-improvement content. This guy was legit. He was always running. I found him super inspiring, and I remember asking myself, how do I download this guy's mindset and plug it into my brain?
Every day, run over 20 miles a day, getting up early.
After binging his content, it was pretty obvious to me that step one of being a hard motherfucker was to do something difficult, don't be a bitch, and embrace the pain that comes along the way.
Stay hard.
So on my quest to become Asian Goggins, and like any other reasonable person going through a quarter-life crisis, I signed up for a full marathon. Now, I wasn't a runner. My longest run was maybe 5 kilometers up until this point, and I had just under 6 months to prepare for a 42-kilometer race. Fuck me, I had some work to do. And this was by far the hardest challenge I'd ever signed up for. And even though I didn't have much going for me in my life at the time, I made a commitment to myself, and now I had a date to look forward to. And all I could think about for the next few months was this damn marathon. It consumed me. In came the feelings of self-doubt, anxiety, uncertainty, but I had to follow through to become a G like David. I started running every single day, anytime, anywhere. 5 a.m. morning runs before work, after work, on Friday night, running past drunk people having fun, at the park, on the treadmill, wherever I got the chance. I made it a non-negotiable to myself to run every single day. I ran when it was hot, I ran in the rain, even on days I didn't feel like running, and only took the very occasional rest day when my legs physically couldn't carry me throughout a session. And even then, I'd walk. Over a few weeks, I noticed something started to shift within myself. My life became more boring. You see, prior to all of this, I was way too available to people. I'd always make time for people just to hang out for the sake of hanging out, go smoke weed or go party, which offered me zero ROI in my life, by the way. But after making this commitment with myself, having this mission, a North Star in place, I found that my habits, and more importantly, my identity and my relationship with myself, changing for the better. Now, at this time, I had zero proof in my life that I could actually run 42 kilometers, so I had to do everything in my power to prepare the best that I could for race day. And my priorities had to change in order for me to do this. I found myself suddenly having zero time and energy for things that didn't align with my goal. I wasn't hanging out at the bars and clubs anymore. No was my default answer when someone would invite me out. And even if I did, I was excusing myself early from social situations. Running and recovery was my #1 priority in this period of monk mode. I remember quite vividly at work one day, I brought my running gear to go for a run at lunch. So I'm doing my thing, I get changed, I put on my earphones, and I'm heading down towards the elevator. As I'm heading out, this overweight girl on my team makes a comment. Look at Augie, guys, he's too cool improving himself to go for lunch with us. Almost scoffing at me. And I remember thinking, what the hell, it's not that deep, girl, and feeling a little bit pissed off. But now that I look back, she was just projecting her insecurities. It was that classic crabs in a bucket mentality. People will always try to bring you down to their level if they see someone doing things that makes them feel inadequate. In my experience, people doing well in life always support someone who's getting after their goals. Hate never comes from above, only from below. I was moving differently as my priorities shifted and people began to notice. Let me introduce you to a concept called misogi. The misogi is a Japanese tradition, which is a purification ritual which involves washing of the body with water. But in modern self-development, it is one hard challenge you undertake once a year that forces you to become a completely different person to complete it. The marathon was my misogi. Committing to one hard challenge where you have a real chance of failure, for me, has been the biggest self-development unlock. You see, I'm a serious introvert and I've dealt with a lot of negative self-talk up here. Before introducing misogis regularly into my life, I'd constantly be living in my head, binge watching motivational videos, maybe changing my habits ever so slightly in the right direction, but not nearly enough to the levels that are actually required for real transformation to happen. Now look at all the high achievers out there. Almost an unhealthy obsession is what's required for excellence. And that's not to say you should suddenly go quit your job and cut out all your friends, but there does have to be an incubation period in your life where you live and breathe the one thing that you're focusing on. And the marathon was that for me. During my lock-in period, I surprised myself at the amount of discipline I could actually conjure up. I became someone who could only run 5K, and then gradually my long runs turned to 10K, and then 12, 15, eventually 20 kilometers. And my longest run before race day ended up being 32Ks. Fast forward a couple of months, it was time to run the full marathon. On the day of the race, I woke up at 4 a.m. It was held in Auckland, New Zealand, where I used to live, and all the runners gathered up in a large field. There were hundreds, if not thousands of people looking all serious in running gear, which was quite intimidating actually, because I had always run alone and never for an official event. This was my first one. All the runners lined up for the countdown, and once the gun went off, we all started running towards the bridge where we got to see the sunrise, which was pretty damn cool. But the run itself was f***ed. After the first 10 kilometers, it was pure misery. Oh my lord, it was bad. I was cramping everywhere, especially after the 30K mark. My lower back almost gave out. Every fiber of my being wanted to quit, and my body was literally screaming at me to stop. But what would Asian Goggins do? He would finish the damn race. During all the chaos, I'd have to center myself and remember what the mission was, and just focused on putting one foot in front of the other. What felt like absolutely forever, across the finish line. On January 23rd, 2022, I officially ran my first full marathon. By choosing a difficult challenge, developing boring habits, and following through with it, I became a different person. Now the change didn't occur to me just like that, but it was a gradual process. Now the marathon itself was actually really miserable. I could barely get out of bed for days after, and I remember vowing to myself never to run again. But something interesting happened to me during the preparation process. The habits I built up leading up to the marathon stuck with me long after the marathon. I became a version of myself who took action and showed up daily. Someone who I wasn't before. Someone who prioritized my health and my goals above all. I experienced a change in identity. I was a runner now. And by following through on my misogi, I found evidence in myself that I could overcome crazy levels of physical and mental pain and rise up to the challenge. They say that self-confidence comes from evidence. And now I had some concrete proof that I could do things that I set my mind to. I started applying this concept deliberately. I made it a point to challenge myself to a misogi every year. To build up that self-confidence I lost in myself when I resigned to the 9 to 5. Like I mentioned, I was pretty depressed and I felt like I had nothing to lose. So I just kept challenging myself. I fasted for 3 days. Then I signed up for my first ever jiu-jitsu competition. And then I signed up to a kickboxing fight. I lost my fight, but the results really didn't matter because the process demanded a change in my habits and in my identity, which compounded over time and allowed me to generate enough confidence and momentum in my life to leave my unfulfilling 9 to 5, start my own business, and live life on my own terms. And sure, I was called boring, I was misunderstood, and I grew apart from a lot of my close friends growing up. But all of a sudden, that created space. Space for new friends, new like-minded people that were high achievers, big dreamers, that I felt were more aligned with my path. Maybe you're in a similar position as I was, and if you are and want to try this yourself, start simple. Pick one thing that you've been wanting to do that actually scares you and commit to it publicly, and then take daily action to chip away at that goal every single day. Now remember, this isn't for motivation, but it's to build actual proof within yourself that you can stack evidence and trust yourself. And that is the biggest hack I wish someone told me when I was younger. And look, not everyone needs help with this. Some people can do this on their own. But if you are someone that needs help, book a call with me using the link in the description. Maybe you're in the same position as I was, lacking self-confidence, leaving projects half finished, but you know you're capable of more. So I'm working with a small number of people to help apply this framework properly, and we'll see if we're a good fit working together. But either way, commit to a goal, start with something small, and keep staking those daily wins. Stay boring. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.